Hey, this is Dave, DA Griffin Hobby. I'm going to replace the cord on my ZW transformer I've been using to run my layout, and as you might be able to see, the cord is not in great condition. And by that I mean it's in horrible condition, dangerous condition, shouldn't be used, and I've been using it like this for a couple of years. So, not very smart. Anyway, so I'm going to replace the cord. There are different options for cords. I like this one. It comes with the L on the plug. The ends are pre-tinned, so it can be easy to solder that in. And this is from Henning's Trains, and it was less than $4. So it's very nice quality. Definitely going to be using that again. 4 screws. Take them out of the top of your transformer. It might be a little tighter than these. I've already taken this apart and put it back together a couple times. So you might put a little bit of force to get those loose, especially if they're a little rusty like these. Pull the top off. Put it to the side. A lot of stuff in there. It looks a little overwhelming. We don't need to worry about most of it. What we're going to do, push those all the way back and flip over the transformer. Now you just need to run out these bolts here. Again, you might need to put a little bit of force into these. I've already taken this apart, as I said. And just to be clear, this is electrical work. If you've never done electrical work, if you're not comfortable doing electrical work, consult with somebody or have somebody who has experience do it. If you want to try, this is what we do. With those 4 out, it may or may not lift right off. If it doesn't, what I had to do was put these 4 bolts back in a few turns, turn it over, and just tap it lightly to break the insides free of the case. But be very gentle with that. Okay, now that we've got those screws out, don't just grab here and flip it over. You want to make sure to hold both parts. You don't want to rip any wires out that you're going to have to figure out how to fix later. So just be careful flipping it over. This is the back where you have the binding posts. This corner right here, this is where the power cord comes up. Now, you could take everything all apart. You really don't need to, though. And you can feed the cord in from the bottom. And I'm just going to finagle the base a little bit out of the way so that I have access. I'm going to cut the old power cord, feed that little bit of cord into the case so that you can pull it out. Meanwhile, just be aware of all the other cords that are in here, wires. You don't want to damage anything. Or maybe you do, but it's just gonna mean you have to fix it. Okay, with the wire freed from the case, you'll see that there's a knot here. That's to prevent the cord from pulling through the bottom of the case and putting tension where it's mounted. Next, you want to take the new cord and feed it through the bottom. You feed it through the bottom and just pull some extra through, and then take the cord and knot it. You don't have to make it too tight. You just want something in there so that when you're using this and when it's plugged in, if the cord gets yanked, it won't pull off inside. So 2 things. We've got the new cord, we have the old cord. At this point, all you have to do is unsolder and then resolder the wires. It does not matter which side each one of these goes to. It's not a polarized plug. This is where the cord attaches. So grab yourself a pair of needle nose or something. Try to warm up that solder that's in there. And the cord pulls right out. Just do that for the other one also. Make sure not to touch any of the plastic with the soldering iron. You wouldn't want to melt your case. There you go. Warm up the solder, pulls right out. If you're lucky, when you removed the old cord, it left a little bit of a hole, which would be extremely convenient. And that did not happen on this one. So I'm going to position the cord and then get back in there and heat up the solder so that I can push the new cord back into place. Okay, so I pushed the cord through, but you'll notice it's not tight. I'm going to bend the end a little, and then I'm going to feed the other side in as well. Again, it did not leave a hole, so I'm just going to warm up the solder and push it in. Again, I'm going to bend that over a little bit, and then just get back in there. A little more solder. Heat it up nicely so that you have a real nice connection. And then keep it in place while it cools. And then do the same for the other wire. Heat it up. You want all that solder to soften up so it all becomes one. A little more in there just to be safe. And let it cool before you touch it or let the wire move. Okay, that should be enough time for it to harden. So you want to grab each end of the cord that you just soldered and try to move it. Not too much, you don't want to break anything, but you just want to make sure that it's not moving on this side or pulling out. So that looks pretty secure. One other thing I want to mention is right here, you can see the cords are touching. They're touching the lever. You don't want to leave it like that. You'll end up with a broken wire and a short circuit. There are a couple of tabs and a couple of holes in the bottom that line the insides up with the case, and I just almost put my hand on the damn soldering iron because I am a clumsy person. I'm gonna unplug that and move it before I give myself second-degree burns here. And knocking stuff down, setting myself on fire. So there are 4 holes and 4 tabs in the bottom, and you just want to make sure that the center of your transformer sits firmly in there before you go and put the screws in the bottom. So I am going to now flip this back over, carefully trying to keep it from coming apart. The cord should run out the back, and you can put the plate back on. Always start these by hand. You don't want to drive them in there with any sort of power tool and strip it. Some may go in further than others, whatever. They don't have to be super tight, just snug. You don't want to crack the case. Check the function of everything. Make sure you didn't get your throttle arms stuck or bent. Make sure they still move freely. And this is a good time to check these rollers on your arms here. Make sure that they're actually turning when you operate your throttle. They will develop flat spots and then just drag across the coil. And that's not good. So you can replace just those rollers, which I will be doing in a following video. Now that I re-secured the bottom, I just want to make sure that I didn't pinch or pull any wires inside. Just take a real close look before you put the top back on. Just make sure everything looks good. Make sure the cords are out of the way inside. You don't want that rubbing. You might want to make sure there's no little leftover bits of solder in there from releasing the old wires or installing the new ones. And again, I'm just going to check the wires for the plug, make sure they're nice and secure, which they are. One thing to keep in mind is that the bulbs can get in the way when you put the top of your transformer back on, so you might want to pop out the lenses just to make it a little easier. See, that socket got in the way. I had to move that a little bit to get it on. Run your screws down. Again, not too tight. You don't want to crack anything. Now, if you're a nervous type of person, which I am, you can start by plugging this in the first time into an outlet with a ground fault, a GFI outlet like the ones you find in your bathroom or kitchen, because that way if you have a bad short inside that you didn't realize, it will just pop the breaker right away. It takes a little bit more effort to pop a regular breaker. All right. Plugged it in, lights on, slight buzz, think we're good to go. So that's replacing the cord, a very important, necessary task, and most post-war transformers could probably use a new cord. Be safe. If you're not comfortable working with electric, please don't try it, or seek out assistance from somebody who has more experience. Again, this is just a cord, but you're dealing with enough power to hurt yourself. Obviously, make sure your transformer is unplugged before you start working on it, and certainly before you cut the old wire. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, let me know if you have any questions on this repair, and stay tuned. I'm going to be doing more repairs on the ZW. So again, thanks for watching, and see you next time on D.A. Griffin Hobby.